Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining. I've seen some people jumping on the chat and introducing themselves. So good to see you online. I saw Nikki and Beck on there from Redeemer, Petra, Brendan, everyone's jumping on, so that's great. We'll just get started in a couple of minutes, but feel free if you haven't already, say hi, let us know where you're jumping in from, and we'll get started. We've got And I can see our lovely Denver team calling in. Hi, Jamie and the team over in US. Perfect. All right, guys, we'll get started with the webinar today. Again, thanks so much for joining. It's great to see you online and starting the year 2021. Hopefully it's off to a better start than what we were this time last year. So all the best for 2021 for everyone. Today is a webinar on a reporting deep dive. So we're really going to go into funnel reports and talking about how to set your reports up for comparisons going forward, and also some historic setup. So looking at your data from 2019 potentially versus 2020, or different kind of timeframes that works for your schools and the information you're looking for. So today we're coming in from Burleigh Heads. I'm Monica, if I haven't met you before. I'm the Customer Experience Manager here at Digistorm. Just a quick update, I guess, for those who might not know, or the circumstances might have changed. We were founded in sunny Burleigh Heads in 2011. We're now a growing team of currently 45 with an office in Denver in the United States. So hi to the guys there, it's great to see you online. And we now partner with over 600 K-12 schools and are recognised as the leaders in software for schools. So today's webinar, as I mentioned, we will cover off some reporting basics. So just some high-level information about, setting up reports and what's involved with asking the right questions to give you more of a direction about what you're looking for in your reports. We'll give a funnel reporting overview, so what it looks like within funnel itself and how to get the best out of your funnel reporting module. And we'll also then dive into some specific reports that really help with comparing data. So we'll go with 2019 versus 2020 for a majority of these. But again, if you're fresh with your funnel and you don't have that much data in there just yet, that's fine. We'll go through some kind of shorter time periods as well and how to compare those as well. And lastly, we'll set up your reports for reporting 2021. So setting and forgetting, we want to make sure that you can automate your reporting and all your processes as much as possible. So we'll go through how you actually set those reports up now so they're working for you throughout the year, and you can just jump in and keep an eye on them as they're doing all the hard work for you. At the end, we will have time for some report-related questions. So feel free to jump in and put some questions in the chat. Lovely team member Lucy is monitoring that for us at the moment. So again, jump in, say hi. If you've got any questions that pop up report related, feel free to pop them in there and we'll monitor those as best we can. Today, I'll be using our funnel demo account to demonstrate how we would best recommend to use your reporting module in those scenarios. So depending on the intended purpose of your reports, there are some reports in the system that are best suited for these type of scenarios that we're going through. But if you are desperate to learn about one that we aren't covering today, that's fine. We will cover more reports throughout the year and through more webinars. So if you do have some that you're itching to learn more about, let us know, because we love kind of basing these webinars on your feedback and what you're more interested in learning about. So always let us know the next kind of bit of info that you'd love to hear about. Okay, so let's dive straight in. Let's go for basics of reporting. So outside of funnel in general, it's always good to ask yourself a few questions and set up some, problem statements that you'd like to address and answer. within funnel, it's super important as well, just because of the amount of data that you have coming into your funnel all the time, and the data historically that's already stored in there too. So some of the nice questions to ask yourselves before getting started is, why are you reporting? Why are you going to create the report that you think that you need? You might want to start understanding questions that you're trying to answer before jumping in and building the reports. So maybe you're looking at the need for current resourcing. If you're looking for peak times in your inquiry numbers or application numbers, maybe you'd like to display this information. So it's going to show you report data over a specific time frame. So you can see those peaks and troughs throughout the year. You might want to know who you're reporting to. So this really impacts the level of detail and the type of measurement that you would set your reports up for. So if it's more of a visual report, because you might be doing something for your board or your business manager, whereas if you're setting up a report for your admissions team members, then you might need something a little bit more in-depth and right down to the nitty-gritty raw data. So make sure you answer that question before getting started. What do you want the outcome to be? So reporting on numbers that correlate with trends or internal changes you might need to see. So did you host a great event during the year and you want to see how your enrollment numbers were impacted by this? So you would hope that you would see a trend of an increase in numbers post a successful event. And lastly, what are you actually going to do with the findings? A lot of the time we create reports and they sit on our desks or saved in our computer on the dashboard or something without actually doing anything with them. So before actually kind of spending the time to create really helpful reports, understand what you're actually going to do with them. So once you've selected your initial metrics, maybe they could be used as baseline measurements. They could be used as internal targets to work towards. So did you have a historically quiet month that you could use a baseline to measure this against going forward? And then that way, you know that you're going ahead and you're measuring different peaks and troughs throughout the time period. So asking these questions and taking the time to develop a problem statement will help you to select the right report and select those relevant filters. This will also direct your report choice based on the level of detail people in different levels need. So let's have a look at what this means for funnel in particular. Once you've answered those questions, you'll now have a clear vision of what you're wanting to achieve. Choosing the right report then becomes easier, so you might want to then go ahead and answer the questions and move away from or go towards a comparison report, or it might rule in or out an analysis report, or the perfect report for your answering your questions might just be a nice snapshot report for that time period. So let's jump in and have a look at this within Funnel together. So within your reports module, we're going to have a look at the reports little area here. So everybody has this snapshot area. I'll go through a couple of the specifics within here. They're all of your reports that anybody creates within your account will be listed on this list here. So it's really important to name your reports differently so they're easy to find when you want to come back and reference them. Don't be afraid as well to always remove or delete any reports that you no longer need. If they've served the purpose, feel free to remove them. You won't lose any data by doing so. You'll just clean up the list here for easy viewing. You can also select the column headings to reorder your data, and you can also search for the name in the top right-hand corner. So if I'm looking for a 2020 report, I can search 2020 and be presented with just the options relevant to that. If you know that you're going to create a report that is similar to one you already have in your list here, rather than going ahead and starting from scratch, you can always use the quick actions here on the right-hand side and select duplicate. That will let you just duplicate the basics of this report, and then you can rename it and save it so you've got it listed there going forward. All right, let's jump into specific reports. Many of you have had Funnel for a couple of years now, so you're going to start getting some really nice comparison data. But if you don't have 2 full years of data, that's fine. Again, we can customize the date ranges and specify the specifics that we're going to look at. We'll jump in today and we're going to look at 4 main reports, being enrollment comparison, entries comparison, and lead conversion, and also leads map. So if we go ahead and jump into add report, we'll have a look at the enrollments comparison report. The enrollment comparison report is going to show you leads that were won during the time frame that you specify. So by won, I mean that the leads that have moved to your second last stage in the funnel pipeline. So for our instance, the second last stage for us is accepted. That's what we have set as our closed won stage. Your last stage in everyone's funnel is actually the closed lost stage. So it's always going to be your second last stage. We can specify the date range or the time frame of interest at the top of a report. So it doesn't have to be a 12 months, for example. You might want to go and say last month, so that would be January, and you might want to compare it to last January. So that's going to say last year, this time last year. But if we're going to go ahead, I'm going to do a breakdown of this month versus that same time last year, and I like to see the data weekly, so I can see peaks and troughs in my closed ones for that month over the week. So if I say this month, I'll go last month actually, so I've got a little bit more data in there. Change the frequency to week, last year, and we can have the data pulling up on there too. If I can say this month, that time last year, again, you'll see the this month and last month plotted on the graph, and the numbers broken down on the table below. So that's going to tell you again the number of leads that were, so enrollment comparison being the number of leads that were won in that time frame that you've specified there. We can say this month, enrollments comparison, and confirm. So now you've got that report saved, and I'll show you in a moment how we're going to use all of these reports together and build out a dashboard that's relevant for the comparison data. So just remember though, when you do this and you're selecting an evergreen filter like I did, that I used this month or last month, that'll update and change to the month of the current time that you're looking at. For example, if I set this month for that report, and then I look at that report again in March, that's going to give me the March data, as that's an evergreen filter option. If you do want a specific time frame and you don't want that to change, then you can use that custom range and set the dates, specific dates for that particular report that you're looking at. I'll show you that in a moment. For entries comparison is the next report we will jump into. So I'm going to hit add report, entries comparison, and create the report. So this one is really good to compare the number of form submissions via a particular form over a specific time period as well. So for example, maybe you've moved your enrollment inquiry form in March 2020. So you've moved it from a particular spot on your website, and you might want to check if that actually did anything, impacted your numbers in comparison to where it previously was in March 2019. Or you may have even ran a campaign with this particular form associated to it in Jan 2020, but you didn't do any campaigning this year in Jan 2021. So you want to see if there's any differences between the figures. So the first thing obviously you need to do, because this is a report about entries, you're seeing the performance of a form. So you want to select the form first, and it'll plot the data for you to show you that performance. You want to select then, as I mentioned, your time frame and your time period. So again, you could do last year versus this year. So if I go previous period, then that will specify the date ranges that we're looking for. You can again break the frequency, so what you'd like to see the plotting on the graph. If you want it via monthly, weekly or quarterly, etc., you can absolutely do that. Setting, if you'd like this visually to be represented in a bar graph, if I select that, you can see the difference there, or as a line. You can set specific data series on the particular set that you're looking at as well. So for example, if you're just interested in year 7s, you can always jump in and select the year level and specify those particulars about this data. I'm going to leave that blank for now. As we scroll down, it's always going to show you on the left-hand side the current information that you're wanting to look at versus that previous date and the count for that data. You'll see the peaks and troughs on this information as well. So I'm going to do 2019, 2020 data. Again, I'll show you how we're going to build this onto one dashboard so we can see all this information together. The next report is the lead conversion report. This one's actually my personal favorite. So we'll scroll down to the bottom here and go through lead conversion report together. It's really great for comparing certain fields or certain data sets in the one table, for example. So if you'd like to see year levels or entry year to check their performance through the enrollment pipeline, this is the best report for it. So you are specifying the creation date of the leads when you're selecting the range. So if you don't care about when the lead was actually created, you just want to see all leads, but maybe you just want to see 2020 people that are interested in 2021, then you would always drop the range option down, scroll down to all time. That will give you all of your data, not just specifying the leads that were created in a specific range. This will give you all time data. Then the next thing you want to do is actually select what you're wanting to see on your table and what a data set you're actually interested in looking at. So if I say year levels, for example, that will then plot out the information on my table. The numbers that you see, anything that is blue is always clickable, so it'll show you who those 4 are that are in the system there. And it'll show you the conversion rate of those leads that are going through the stages in your pipeline. So as I mentioned, yes, this is just giving me all year levels and all time data. But if I'm keen on seeing just for 2022, you can always filter this out further. So you're building out a nice, powerful report that's really targeted towards the data set that you're interested in seeing. So you would just go here and enter entry year equals 2021 or 2022, for example, to drill that data set down even further. Perfect. I also like to use this one in to compare the conversion rates of events, particularly that you're running. So if you can drop the list down there and select event name, measured by event name, and that will show you the numbers of the leads that have registered for these particular events that are listed there, and then how they've progressed through your pipeline. So it's nice to see, for example, you've got all of your events on here, whether they're past or upcoming. This will just update with any new data coming in. So I've got my open day 2021 there versus the my open day 2020 versus the 2021 there as well. So you can always see how you're tracking versus this time last year for that particular event. Great. If I change this back to year level, I'm going to say year level conversion rate. Perfect. So the next little report we'll jump into is our leads map. So this is more of a visual report where you can see where your data is coming from. So if I select leads map, this is going to again be a visual representation of geographically where your leads are coming from. So the suburb information, the address information that's captured on inquiries, on enrollments or registrations, that is where this information really comes into its own and becomes powerful for you. So you can select your range again. We always do this to kind of specify this information at the start of the report. If you go, I might go this month versus last month as well, previous period, and then that'll filter it out again in terms of showing growth and shrinking suburbs in your data set. So whatever you're specifying in the ranges will always impact the growth percentages in your report. So you might have promoted, for example, a new bus route in a certain area last January, but you didn't actually do that this January. Maybe you want to see if there's been a dip in the number of inquiries or leads coming from that geographical location. So anything that you do up here will impact the growth figures and percentages in your suburb leader map table and on the map itself visually here. I'll just say 2020 leads map, confirm that. Okay, so as we kind of previously mentioned, all the reports we just went through are comparison reports. So they allow you to select and compare data set from a different date range. But a little pro report tip, if you would like to use a report that doesn't actually have a comparison element to it, you can create your separate reports and then add them to one dashboard. So visually, you're seeing them alongside each other and you can still compare the information. It's just not within the one report. So I'll show you now exactly how we can manage that. So if we jump in, I'll do a leads won lost report, for example. Create that report. Here we go. So again, this is only showing us one time period, so it's not a comparison report in terms of date ranges. It's a comparison report, won versus lost, but not in terms of setting date periods for this one. So if I wanted to actually see potentially the last 6 months in a bar graph, and I can save this as last 6 months. Create that. I'll duplicate this report again, and I would say maybe 6 months 2020. You would name it a lot better than what I'm doing it right now as an example. Now I have those reports created, 2 separate reports, but I can use them as comparisons. So all I would need to do is jump back into the funnel dashboard area. Select actions and create dashboard. I'll say 2020 versus 2019 comparison. And this is where you can really start building out all of that reporting and comparison together and visually see that on the one dashboard. So now that I've got all my reports built, it's nice to go back, create your dashboard, and then it's easy to just simply select and add those pre-created reports to the one dashboard. So my report here, I'll add that widget. I'll choose any existing report that I created. For example, I'll do the won and lost reports. So I'll add that one, add another widget, drag that up there so they're alongside each other, and select that. So now I'm seeing that same information, but in different kind of formats and information there too. So I can build on this, scroll down if I'd like to see my entries comparison. So again, this has got its own comparing functionalities within the one report. So I don't really need to add another report alongside it to get that comparison element to it. I can just drag that out to be full screen. And you just continue on building out and building your comparison dashboard based on the reports that you've just created for this purpose. Okay. So now we've done comparison data in terms of historical information and comparing it all together. What about we set up some reports, some evergreen reports? So you're setting them up now and it's going to give you live and accurate information every time you look at them. So this is where your evergreen filters will come in handy for this. I'll show you exactly what I mean here. So if I add a report, I'll go to lead total count. So the purpose of this is to create, I guess, a snapshot for every time you log in, you're seeing updated and live information. So I'll just turn cumulative off. So I'm going to set this up and I'm going to go this year, for example, or last year. I'm going to set it up as monthly, and I'll go bar and non-cumulative. So now when I set this up, it's going to be updating live every time I look at it. So if I go to this year, this is where it becomes a set and forget report, because this year is always going to pick up and continually update the months as we work through that time period. So at the moment, there's no data in those months, obviously, but as we keep moving throughout the year, you'll know that this report is updating with the live data coming into the system. Again, this comes into its own when you add this report to a live ongoing dashboard. So if I say my 2020 lead count, so I've got that there, and I might actually do one more for this particular instance. I'll go with a closed won report. So that way you're keeping up with what is going on in the system with wins and losses as well. So if I can select leads won and lost, again, you're setting your time period to be this year. So that's going to, again, keep building on and adding in the data as it's coming into the system. If you're wanting this as a monthly kind of update, you can do this month and specify it in weekly potentially. So you're getting more kind of finite information there too. So if I save this for monthly leads won and lost, although it looks very bare at the moment, as the time goes on, you're close winning and losing different leads, this will update automatically for you. Again, back on dashboards, I'll create live dashboard. Select that dashboard. Again, go through the process of adding a widget. Select my relevant reports that I'd like to see when I jump into funnel. I might drag that one up as well. Choose your existing report, and I'll say this month's enrollment comparison. Sorry, that's the wrong one. I'll say monthly leads won and lost. And then if this is the one that you'd like to see as a snapshot when you log into your funnel, don't forget actions and set this as your default dashboard. So everybody can have their own dashboard that they see when they log in that's relevant for the information that they are looking for. Okay, so let's open up the floor to some questions. So feel free to type away in the chat, and Lucy will help me go through them all as well together. So while you guys are typing away and pulling together some questions, we'll go through what we have coming up for Digistorm. So we have some really exciting new funnel features coming out early this year. So we want to keep everyone in the loop on this. One of those exciting updates is to funnel lists. So we're actually running a webinar on what is updating and how to get the most out of them. So that webinar will actually be on the 24th of February at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So there will be emails going out about this one soon as well. So you'll be able to register and go through that process when that email comes out. But if you do also have another team member actually that would be interested in receiving these emails or coming along to these webinars, feel free to email their details through to marketing@digistorm.com, and we can add them to the mailing list so they'll get those invites going forward. Also, a note on our exciting funnel automation. So we have started or halfway through the lovely solid beta testing that we've been going through. The feedback has been really positive, getting some great kind of user experience ideas out of it as well. So we're just going through some final little tweaks with that area of the system. We'll keep you posted closer to the date of rollout when that will be happening. All right, have we got some questions loose to go through? Okay. So we need to present printed reports at our with our principal. How do we print reports out? Perfect. Okay, so thanks, Alana. So from this particular area, we are working on a nice zhuzhed up, I guess, printing option for our reports. At the moment, you can still go into the actual report itself, and you can print the report. As I mentioned, they're getting a nice kind of revamp in terms of formatting, so keep an eye out for that, and we'll keep you posted when that is happening. But alongside every report, you can print it. If for whatever reason it's not coming out the way you like, or you would actually prefer to, you've worked really hard on your dashboard and it's all the information that you need to present to the relevant people kind of every week or month, then you can always just take a screenshot of the actual dashboard itself, knowing that that's the live information here for you. So you can just hit screenshot and take the screenshot and send it to them if it's a kind of group of different reports you'd like to share with them. Okay, hi Annalise, nice to see you online. You've got a question about, can we create a report that is sent to others at a set frequency? So I'm imagining that is like an auto-generated kind of flicking off an email with the report itself. There's a couple of things you can do in that sense, is that you can give people certain access to the system. So if you do have some users that don't need to see the whole kind of your whole funnel instance, you can flick them the link to just the dashboard. You can set them up as almost like a read-only user. And they can just see the dashboard that you've got created for them. So it'll just be a matter of literally being on the dashboard that you're interested in, or specifically on a report that you're interested in sharing with them, and you can copy and paste that link to them and they can open it up. They'll just need to log in and it'll just bring them straight to that URL that you've sent them. Perfect. Is there a limit to how many widgets you can add to a dashboard? Again, Annalise, I know you love good reports. So no, there's not. You can just go for it and add to as many to the one dashboard that you like. Just keep in mind, obviously, it's long scrolling. You can use the functionality of splitting them up in terms of halving the screen and adding kind of widgets alongside each other. So it is just meant to be a nice kind of snapshot of information there for you. So no limit to answer the question. Okay, Katie Lee, with the leads map report, can you filter by schools the students are coming from, feeder schools instead of address? At the moment, there are a few areas in the system we need to add to the filtering options. So for example, if I just go to lead total count, because all of the filtering options will be the same across all reports. So you will find it in here under lead properties. So if it's available in one report and you see it there, it's across all four. They're all the same kind of conditions that you can add across any of your reporting that you'd like. So just to recap on that, just select your report that you're interested in. You want to use the filtering options of under the conditions for data series, lead properties, feeder school. Sorry, you can search for feeder school rather than scrolling through that list there. And you can do equals if you're looking for a specific one school, or you can do either is not empty if you're just wanting to see people who have actually selected that information, or again is one of if you'd like to have kind of a few different schools that of interest for you. Perfect. Robin, okay, with activity reports on an event, can we see a comparison of leads interest from two different points in time, e.g. before and after an advertisement campaign? So if I'm understanding correctly, that would be about kind of having a look. Sorry, just let me get out of this. Do you mind just going up again, Luce? Yep. So can we see a comparison of leads interest from two different points in time? So before and after a advertisement campaign. Yeah, perfect. So if I go to, I might go to entries comparison, select my form. So in the range drop down, if it is a specific date range you're after, not just kind of like an evergreen option that we've been using, you can set custom range at the bottom here. and then select the actual dates of interest that you're looking for. So it may be that you want to select from, you did it in the first kind of 2 weeks of Feb last year. So you can select that information there. So that will give you the option to set the original kind of data set, timeframes in specific dates, and then you choose what that comparison is. Is it that kind of data set versus that exact time last year, or the 2 weeks before that specific time frame that you've set? What else have we got? Great questions, guys, as well. Thank you so much for being so engaged. It's really, really helpful for us. David, I'll just read through yours. With closed loss report, can we expand schools of top 5 lost, and why is it not order from highest to lowest? Yes, that's a great point. We have identified that as well. So the idea of the closed loss report was for it to be just a quick snapshot of the top 5. At the moment, it shows in alphabetical order, I believe, but I agree with you. It certainly would make more sense to be highest to lowest. So thank you so much for the feedback. We have logged that, and it'll be something that's reviewed in our upcoming releases. So stay tuned for that update. If I just show everybody else while we're on it, what David's actually referring to on the closed loss report. So we've got these top 5 lost schools, for example. What David's mentioning is the total numbers. They're not actually ordering from, highest to lowest. It's actually ordering based on alphabetical order of the schools. So that's meant to be a little snapshot. But what I could possibly, just bear with me for one moment, I could possibly have a little play with another report. To show you how you can get that information on a table, and it's not going to limit the number of schools by 5. So again, it's about understanding the purpose of the reports and what you're trying to achieve, and then you can pick the right one that you're after. So the closed loss report is just meant to be a quick snapshot of information for you. But if you are looking for nice, more in-depth data, you can always use my little favorite one is the lead conversion report for that reason. So you just use your measured by and select lost school. That way, again, just in our data set, there's not that many. We haven't closed lost that many leads, but you will see all of the options that are there, and then the amount of, leads that have been lost to that school. So if you have that information, awesome. It's great to use it and have a look at it all in your reportings area. Thanks, David. Katie. So as Ryan, so for entries comparison, where we look at where a campaign has run, can we tag any peaks on the dashboard as the campaign that was run, so we can see immediately the whole year view? So I think if I go back to the entries comparison report, I'll try and replicate this, Katie. Sorry if I'm completely off the mark with your request. Entries comparison, selecting your form. So I'm imagining that you would like to, say, for example, there's a peak in this data set here. You want to actually say, I know that this peak was for, because we ran a specific campaign via Facebook on this date, or 2 weeks beforehand, or something like that. So at the moment, we can't actually do anything in terms of visually on the report, but that is an awesome idea to be able to tag, so you guys know exactly especially when you're handing these over to boards or other kind of management positions, you want to know and let them know exactly why these peaks and troughs happen. So I'll definitely pass that on for a feature request, so you can kind of add tags to be able to note in there, yep, this is exactly what that's referring to, or the reason why we've had a peak in our data from that. Awesome. We are running out of time, but can you set up different dashboards? Thanks, Denise. Sorry to everyone that we've missed out on. I'll just finish on Denise's question, and then we'll I'll definitely address the other questions that have come through today in follow-up communication. So don't fear, we won't let you miss out, but I'll just finish off on one more. So Denise wants to know, can you set up the same report with different parameters on different dashboards? Absolutely. You can go nuts with your reports and your dashboards. They are yours to own and run with. I will say, two kind of main points about that is, if you are going to do that, name your reports exactly what they are, pretty much. So what are they representing for you, so that when you do go ahead and you're at that point when you're building your dashboards. So if I'm in here and you're adding widgets, I'll just use this one, and I want to add a widget. We saw before I even selected the wrong report again because I named it not very well. So when you're using and choosing the existing reports and you've got multiple dashboards, this is where it really comes into its own to name them exactly what they are, so you know you're choosing the right one and representing the right information on your dashboard. So whatever you choose and select on your specific dashboard will be whatever you've created previously in the report itself. So the parameters are set on the report, then all you're doing is representing it and pulling it together on one dashboard here. So again, as many dashboards, different scenarios that you like, just name them so it's easy to find them and categorize the info too. Okay, I'm so sorry. There's awesome questions in there. Again, we won't let everybody miss out on the answers to the questions. We'll make sure that we'll pull them all out of the chat because you've gone to the trouble of actually kind of joining today and asking and trying to learn from each other. So we'll build out the questions in a follow-up email, and we'll put the answers to those questions in the email, so that you are all across the answers and not missing out on any info. But thank you so much for joining. It's been great to go through, I guess, funnel reports in more depth, and hopefully you got something out of it so you can set up your reports for 2021 and know that they're doing the hard work for you. If you do have any questions at all outside of the ones that we will cover off in follow-up communications, your CSM is certainly there to jump in and help you and guide you through all of the different kind of scenarios that you're trying to represent. And if it's something that we can't do right now, it doesn't mean that it's not something we're interested in improving or adding to your system. So if you also would like to keep up to date with more product releases, more other webinars that we're running, make sure you like and subscribe to our little YouTube channel here. Again, we'll send you all of this information in a follow-up email this afternoon. And if any of your teammates missed out on the the webinar live today, we'll send the recording to you as a link as well, so that you can watch back whenever you're ready. One last thing, we are doing a survey to see how today went, how you guys found it, if it was helpful for you. So that really helps us guide our next and upcoming webinars based on your feedback. So all we're wanting to do is give you the information that you're asking for, and hopefully it's helping you out. But thanks so much for joining. Have a lovely Thursday, and we will see you again soon. Thanks, guys.